Hello and welcome to a trash summary of Week 3 in the Overwatch League. In this video, I'll be providing a summary of each match and the community MVP results that I've put up in various websites and Discord communities. This week's homestand was hosted by the Washington Justice, as the Chinese homestands for February and March have been cancelled. The primary highlights from this week were Philadelphia topping the New York Excelsior and barely surviving Toronto. We had our first El Clasico between Boston and Houston, and Washington really disappointed at their first homestand. Let's move on to the first match. It was a top of the table clash between the New York Excelsior and the Philadelphia Fusion, and the Philadelphia Fusion won the match 3-1. They won on Busan 2-1, Horizon Lunar Colony 2-0, New York won Havana 3-2, and then Philadelphia won on Eichenwald 4-3. This was a great showing by the Fusion, as most people didn't expect them to win this match, as New York Excelsior looked like the more refined team. This match did leave New York at 2 wins and 1 loss, with a map ratio of +3, while the Philadelphia Fusion were left at 3 wins and no losses and a map ratio of +7. Let's move on to community MVP votes. Philadelphia just plain dominated them. Carpe took the 3 points with 70.9%, Alarm took the 2 points with 66.2%, while Ivy took the 1 point with 41.7%. And let me tell you this, it was not close whatsoever when it came to the voting on how many Philly got and how many New York got. Moving on to the one sentence summaries, for New York I put outclassed, because in this match, when I looked back on it, in most, if not all areas, Philadelphia were playing outclassing them. They were better than them in basically every area. I can't figure out a better way to say it other than they outclassed New York and New York were outclassed. For Philadelphia's one sentence summary, I put becoming the real deal. Mainly because a lot of people had the Philadelphia Fusion around the 5th or 6th mark as a team that would be up there but not contending with the top dogs like New York and San Fran. But this match is showing that they can do that, as they knocked off New York quite convincingly and probably easily as well, in my opinion. And this has shown that Philadelphia are probably a good chance to make the grand finals, if not win them. Now we move on to everybody's favorite match of the week, the El Clasico between Boston and Houston. Boston won the match 3-2, as everybody who watched it enjoyed it a lot. And I was one of those people, I watched a full about 3 hours of it, and it was amazing to watch. Boston won the first map on Ilios 2-0. Then the two teams drew on Anubis 2-2. Then Boston won Dorado 3-1. Then they drew again on Blizzard World 3-3. Then Houston almost made a reverse sweep, taking Oasis and Nepal. And then Boston won and took the match, winning on Lijiang Tower. This match left the Boston Uprising at 1 win, 1 loss, and a map ratio of -2, which left them at 9th after the next day's matches. While Houston was still left winless, but hey, at least they won a map. They were left winless with 0 wins, 3 losses, and a map ratio of -7. And one last note, this match was absolutely amazing. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Now, moving on to community MVP votes, Jerry easily got the 3 points with a percentage of 86.8. As you can see, Myongbong and Jexei got the same percentage. So I had to use my personal opinion to decide who will get 2 points and who will get 1. I decided to give Myongbong the 2 points, primarily because he got the actual MVP in the Overwatch League match. For the one sentence summary, I put for Boston, the almighty Jerry has arrived. Apparently because Jerry is a Giga Chad, he is the greatest of all time, and you should join the Church of Jerry because he is great, and he is going to boost Boston's merch sales and boost their winning percentages because they're going to win all the games with the almighty Jerry. Anyway, for Houston's one sentence summary, I put, just pick a flex support and stick with it. Holy crap, Houston. Throughout this match, I was pissed off the amount of times you swapped Raucous out, Repel in, Repel out, Raucous in. And when you finally pick something for at least 2 maps and you won maps, oh no, let's sub him out again. That's going to work. Oh, look at that. We lost when we subbed out again. Pick a flex support and stick with it. It's not that hard to do. You don't need to keep swapping. It doesn't help whatsoever to keep swapping. The one time you didn't swap, you won 2 maps. So why do you keep swapping when it's clearly not working? It's just plain dumb. This is dumb. Houston are being dumb. Stop being dumb. Anyway, let's just move on to the Paris Eternal Washington Justice match before I get any more annoyed. Paris won this match 3-1. They beat Washington on Ilios 2-1, but then they lost on Anubis 1-2. But then Paris took the next 2 maps, winning on Junkertown 2-1 and Blizzard World 3-2. This was a very poor showing by the Washington Justice, especially since it was their first homestand game. Paris just plain shut them down, and that one Paris fan got his wish of seeing Paris win. Anyway, this left Paris at 2 wins and 1 loss, with a map ratio of +3, and this left them 5th after the matches that happened the next day. While Washington were left at 1 win and 2 losses and a map ratio of -1, but they had another match the next day. Anyway, moving on to the community MVP votes. XG again took the 3 points with a percentage of 75.5. Corey would take the 2 points with a percentage of 53.6, while Harbin would take the 1 point with a percentage of 52.3. For Paris's one sentence summary, I just decided to put Harbin's debut was one of the best, because it was one of the best in my opinion. Rookies usually have a hard time making their mark in their first Overwatch League match, and Paris have done really well to help Harbin do that, and Harbin did really well in this match and made his mark. For Washington, I put just plain not that good, because in my opinion, they were playing not that good in this match. They were outclassed by Paris, and XE and Harbin did really well against Corey and Eli Vote, and Washington just plain did not live up to their standards. Anyway, moving on to the most boring match of the week in my opinion, the New York Excelsior versus the Houston Outlaws. New York quite easily 3-0'd Houston here. They won on Ilios 2-0, Hanamura 2-1, and Havana 3-0. This ended up leaving New York at 3 wins and 1 loss with a map ratio of +6, and at the end of the day, they were 4th. While for Houston, still winless, 4 losses, map ratio of -10, and they were left 20th, last overall, at the end of the day. There's not much for me to say on this match because it was plain a domination, and that was not surprising whatsoever. Anyway, moving on to the community MVP votes for this match. Mano ended up taking the 3 points, with a percentage of 60.9. CBLB took the 2 points, with a percentage of 58.3, while Hopper took 1 point, barely edging out Jonak for it, with a percentage of 49.7. One sentence summary for New York, I just put nothing more than a map differential booster, or map ratio booster, mainly because that's all this match was to New York, and that's what it seemed to most fans, I presume, because I watched some of it, and it was boring, and it was just a domination and easy pickings for New York. While for Houston, I just put poor Jexay. Seriously, the poor man. He is carrying this team on his back. I wonder how long till another team takes pity on him and gets him out of there, because this man, he deserves better than this. Jexay is pure, he deserves better than Houston. Alright then, let's move on to a match that wasn't boring, and that was the Toronto Defiant versus the Philadelphia Fusion. Philadelphia barely survived Toronto to many people's surprise. They won on Oasis 2-0 and Temple of Anubis 2-1, but then Toronto surprised everyone by taking Dorado 2-1 and Kings Row 6-5. But Philadelphia would finish Toronto off, winning Nepal 2-0, keeping their own control record at 5-0. This left Toronto at 1 win and 1 loss, with a map ratio of +1, and this left them 6 at the end of the day. Our Philadelphia Fusion, no losses, 4 wins, a map ratio of +8, and now they are first at the end of the day, and they are doing very well in my opinion. This match was very entertaining in my opinion, and it was entertaining to watch the matchup between Carpe and Shaw 4. Carpe's flanks playing did not work on him because he also did those flanks and he effectively out-weirded him. The weird flanks didn't work because Shaw 4 knew the weird flanks and he also seemed to enjoy and do the weird flanks. Anyway, let's move on to the community MVP votes. Shaw 4 ended Carpe's 3-point run as he took the 3 points for himself with a percentage of 63.6. Carpe would take the 2 points with a percentage of 53.6, while Alarm would take the 1 point with a percentage of 39.7. For the one sentence summary on Toronto's side, I decided to put Toronto stocks are going up, boys. That's because their stocks are going up, in my opinion, because they did really well here against the Philadelphia Fusion, a team they were expected to get absolutely demolished by. And winning 2 maps and coming back down from 0-2, in my opinion, it was very impressive. For Philadelphia, I put crawling away undefeated, because that's what they did. They crawled away undefeated from Toronto. If the 5th map wasn't Control, they would have been in real trouble. I'm going to admit it, Philadelphia are effectively the kings of Control. On any other mode, they are pretty good, but on Control, they are amazing. And if it wasn't for that map being Control, I personally think Toronto may have won this match. Moving on to the final match of the week between London and Washington, London won it 3-2. They won it in a reverse sweep. Washington took the first 2 maps, Oasis 2-0 and Hanama 2-1, but then London reverse swept and won the match, winning Dorado 1-0, Blizzard World 3-0, and Nepal 2-0. This left London with 1 win and 2 losses and a map ratio of -4, which left them 10th after the end of the day. And for Washington, this left them at 1 win, 3 losses, and a map ratio of -2, which left them 11th at the end of the day. This was very poor by Washington in my opinion, because they effectively had the match in the bag. They may have been sick, but I personally think they could have still taken 1 map at least to finish off the match, and not taking that last map required is pretty disappointing for not only them, their staff, but also their fan base. Moving on to the community MVP votes, Glister would take the 3 points, with a percentage of 82.8. Corey would again get some points, taking the 2 points with a percentage of 51.7, while Cleston would take the 1 point with a percentage of 41.1 as he barely edged out Sanguinar. For London's one sentence summary, I put big win for young players because that's what this was. Winning your first match in any professional league, for any sporting league or esports league, is huge. And you could tell by the reactions of these players when they won the match, it meant so much to them. I feel happy for them, good on you guys, you deserve the win. Anyway, for Washington, I put Sickness, the second map curse, and Determined Rookies get the justice. I decided to write this because all 3 of these factors determined their loss in this match. The Sickness, apparently they were taking naps at half time and they were freezing cold when they went out on stage. The second map curse, they've only ever won 1 map in the second half so far this year, and that was against Houston. And Determined Rookies, which is London, because they just played amazingly and they were determined for the win. And Washington just couldn't deal with all these 3 factors. Moving on to the top 10 overall in the community MVP votes. We have Carpe in first with 11 points, Exy in second with 9 points, Corey in third with 8 points, Hopper in fourth with 7 points, Haxel in fifth with 6 points, while Jonak, Twilight, KSP, Decay, Sato, Saviolby, and Shore4 are in equal 6th with 4 points. For the top 10 DPS players, top 10 tank players, and top 10 support players, I'm going to let you guys pause and read that. Thank you for understanding and reading it yourselves, as it will just take way too long for me to read them all out loud. Now, we move on to the Overwatch League standings. Philadelphia are in first, Vancouver are in second, San Francisco are in third, New York are in fourth, Paris are in fifth, Toronto are in sixth, Florida are in seventh, Los Angeles are in eighth, Boston are in ninth, London are in 10th, and Washington are in 11th, while the teams in 12th, Chengdu, Hangzhou, Atlanta, Guangzhou, Seoul, and Shanghai, are yet to play a match. The Los Angeles Gladiators are in 18th, the Dallas Fuel are in 19th, and the Houston Outlaws are in 20th. A huge thank you to the 151 people who voted in this week's poll. It really helped with deciding the MVP votes, and while there was a tie, it was still very amazing to see this many people vote on this week's poll, and again, thank you so much.